It's 7 p.m., so we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in Council Chambers at 216 Main Street West, Swan River, Manitoba. This 22nd day of August, 2023 at 7 p.m. Present this evening, myself, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Brian Burick, Brad Kushniryk, Terry Neely, and Byron Zbirun. Interim CIO Pat Ellingson is here, and our videographer Jeremy Bergen is here as well. We'll dive into the agenda at 1-2 because we have a couple councillors absent. Be it resolved that the notice of absence submitted by Councillors Blosha and McGregor regarding the regular meeting of council held this 22nd day of August 2023 shall be accepted as received. Is there a mover? Councillor Burick, and someone to second the resolution? Councillor Neely. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favour? That's carried. Item 2 on our agenda, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held this 22nd day of August 2023 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely, someone to second the resolution? Councillor Kushniryk. Any changes or additions to the agenda anybody wants tonight? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favour? That too is carried. We have a public hearing scheduled for 7:05. We're just slightly ahead of that, so we're going to go to the minutes first. Do we have to do absences? Really? Do we have to? Thank you. It's an allergy meds or something?
Yeah.
Be it resolved, the minutes of the regular council meeting held on August 8th, 2023 be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Zbirun, and a seconder, please. Councillor Neely. A copy of the minutes are attached to the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look at them already?
Sure.
Councillor Kushniryk, did you have a chance to look at them?
Yes, I did.
You read them all. You don't have any questions, do you?
No.
The shortest meeting yet.
Does anybody else have any errors or omissions for the minutes tonight? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favour? That is also carried. We're still ahead of our public hearing. We will wait till the 7:05 just to make it official in case someone's coming. So let's move instead to 6.1 General Cheques. Be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. General Cheques number 19099 to... let's see what the check number actually is. 19, you were close. 139 in the amount of $241,146.76. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely, and someone to second the resolution. Councillor Zbirun. I have the checks here.
Then I missed the number.
I had an extra one.
Oh.
So a few interesting ones to look at. The City of Brandon check you'll see there. That is for 911 services. It's $4.74 per capita, 2,759 souls in Swan Valley West for the $13,077. That is the fee for the entire year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Brent Tractor for $12,000. There we have $8,000 of blades, filters and fittings, $3,000 of Promac tooth carb. Whatever that is.
It's for Welsh breeder, I think. It was.
Yeah. It's 25 of tooth, 25 bushings, 25 bits. What's like these parts in any case?
Was that for the excavator, the teeth?
Oh, that'll be what that is. That'll be excavator teeth, yeah. You'll see Community Foundation for 1124. That is a refund for their insurance. They flow their insurance through us, but there was a discount on the insurance, so we've passed that back to them. I believe you also see that for the Thunderhill Ski Club a little later on. They had already paid the insurance, so we're just giving them the money back. Cook Brothers is here for $44,000. So it's another round of graveling. There's 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 6, 28, 30, 32, 34, 35 miles of graveling.
So are they done?
Very close. The budget's almost done.
Okay.
We've got a bunch of roads we have to talk about yet, but they were within a couple thousand yards of their contract now of being complete. Doesn't mean every road got gravel, not necessarily, but So that's where they're at. Oh, there's that one. Durban Community Hall, again, an insurance refund. John Deere Financial is for some miscellaneous parts here for a bunch of different units. I think, does your list show the individual lines that are on this check so you can see the unit numbers?
For John Deere.
For John Deere?
Yeah, I think you have that level of
Bunch
detail
of
there.
different lines.
Okay, good. As long as you see that it's not all just one thing. Sarah Lake Road to Minister of Finance. So this is the ticket that we pled guilty on. A bit of a story with that. So we pled guilty. We spoke to the crowd about a joint recommendation. The joint recommendation was $1,800 instead of the $2,400 it had been, so we saved $600. They sent us the paperwork, we filled it out, we signed it, we mailed it in, and we waited. And they said, don't call us, we'll call you. And when they called us, they said, yeah, by the way, we never got your paperwork, so we convicted you in your absence, and we charged you a victim surcharge and a whole bunch of extra stuff. And we said, well, thank you for that, that was useful. So I got to go to court again, which is, I believe, now the 4th time you've had me appear in court. Thank you for that. And explain to a justice why we had not filled out the paperwork, which of course we had. They said, well, why'd you mail it? You should have emailed it. We never get mail. Which was also useful. So in the end, they determined that we would have our conviction overturned. We would again plead guilty. So I got to speak to the justice for a while and convince him that the $1,800 that I had previously agreed to was still good. Couldn't get them down anymore. So this now is finally disposed of for $1,800 and the check is being written to pay the fine. The other ticket is a court date in November. You're all welcome to come watch if you want to see me because that's an actual trial. So we'll be doing that at the Swan River Courthouse for trial that day, unless the Crown chooses to withdraw the charges. Which I'm hoping they might, but we'll
And
see.
that one was for,
That was also for Sarah Lake Road,
yeah,
but it's the one that said we did the work in September.
oh, that one.
So we tried to plead guilty to it, but they won't allow a guilty plea because they say, well, did you do this work in September? I said, well, no, we didn't. We did it in July.
Yeah.
Well, we won't take a guilty plea because you're not admitting it. Well, I'm admitting your officer wrote the ticket wrong. Can we just plead guilty and get this over with? Nope. So Mr. Tomsky has to come and testify in court that he saw us do that work in September.
And he didn't.
He didn't. So that's going to be an interesting discussion. Because I really don't want to upset Mr. Tomsky. It's not my goal, we work well with him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't say we did that work in September. Because we didn't. We did it in July. So something's going to have to give either at trial or before then. I'm hoping the Crown that has to take it to trial takes a look at it and says, you know what, maybe this isn't worth it. Because the reality is we're spending $150,000 to fix the problem. We've more than been punished enough. We don't need another $1,800 ticket to punish us some more.
Well, they can't get the dates right.
So when they wouldn't take a guilty plea, the only thing they do is plead not guilty. So we
Plead
did.
guilty to that, you're lying,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's what the woman said. I said, I'll say we did in July. And that's not what she said. She says, if you won't say you did in September, I'm not taking a guilty plea. I said, well, I'm not willing to lie to the court. So to trial we go. We'll see.
Oh,
The A&M Trading Company, the bulk of that is our culvert order, which was billed through the A&M Trading Company, Armtech. They are here. You'll see nice looking, really nice looking culverts in a pile there if you are into
Yeah, I
culverts.
noticed them yesterday,
Yeah.
all piled up nice.
Munisoft is for checks, so we can keep writing checks. Tire repair, OSS, the $1,800, that is our May recycling.
July actually.
Oh, okay, it's July. It says May, but it means July.
Yeah.
Pitney Works is actual postage this time.
Yes.
Yes, so it is actual postage. As per council's request, the property taxes were mailed in Benito. We only did them in Benito, so you don't see the postage here. You'll see it on credit card charge later, because Benito was willing to affix all the stamps for us. So we took them, all the envelopes, they, in their spare time, put the stamps on, so we didn't have to, which we thought was a heck of a bargain.
yes.
So they got all of that mail in Benito to help keep them
The
open.
people at the post office
Yeah.
put the stamps on.
And so at that point, we didn't try to take some to Durban or Campbell, because if Benito's willing to do all that,
Yes.
let them do it. Sign here is some vehicle decals, landfill signs, water treatment sign, campground signs. The Mennonite Youth Group, that's the Durban, Kenville, Benito spring cleanup finally coming through now. The calculations were all done on that. We had to do a little sorting on who to write the check to make sure it was actually to the youth group, so that's been sorted out. Starting times is pretty simple. Co-op is mostly fuel, although the parade candy is in there as well. So this year parade candy was, call it $850 roughly. Watershed is the first levy payment. So the way this works for Watershed, if my memory is correct, because their year does not align with our financial year, the first portion is billed now for the 2023 part. The second part is billed come January 1st for the second part of their year to line it up into our next budget year. So this is first payment. Yeah, the next one's lower. The next one's $9,600.
Yeah.
So this is the bigger of the two payments. Mutual aid district, $300 membership fee there. That's part of the fire department. The airport commission, this is the full levy for 2023. It was invoiced a while ago, but we just hadn't paid it yet, so here it is being
So
paid.
that's paid in full then, we don't,
Paid in full.
okay.
This is the whole thing, so we shouldn't owe them anything else this year. Southern Ski Club is that insurance rebate I was talking about. It's $1,500, but they typically pay us
Should be a,
two of them, right? Two go together. One is for, oh no, it's
No,
the
this
total
is the
amount
total.
of $13,485 is their insurance bill every year. So they're getting 11.8% back as that rebate this year. That rebate comes because the insurance is through AMM, so if there's losses not paid out, eventually it comes back to us. Let's do landfill. Valley bearing is a bunch of parts. There's nothing particularly huge on there. Amber Beacon, which I suspect might be for the new truck. Then just some miscellaneous little bits. Westman Communications is internet. And there's a check here for W.F. Snyder. I don't know if it shows any of this or not. It's voided. It's for $36 because we paid it with credit card.
Okay.
In the end.
That very first check bill, just let me get to it. Or, 19099.
Oh.
Swan Valley.
online payments.
So we have two accounts of the credit union. We've got the main account that has no online access whatsoever. So
Okay.
even if we gave you a password, you can't get to it. We have a second account where we can do electronic payments. And in that account, we keep no more than $20,000.
Oh.
So if we get a hydro bill or a phone bill or something, we can pay it online, owe that, but then we replenish it with a check.
Okay.
So that's a check to replenish.
Perfect, good.
And that's just a little safety measure to make sure that nobody can get in there and get $1 million and we'll go. You know,
Okay.
they could get 20,000, but that's all they can get.
Okay. Good.
Any other questions?
All looks good, a lot of money, but it looks good.
We'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. We are now after 7:05, so we will go up to our public hearing. We'll start by adjourning this meeting and ending up in the public hearing. Resolve that this regular meeting of council shall now adjourn at 7:13 p.m. to proceed with public hearing regarding the application to subdivide Northeast 93528 West and a variance to allow a non-farm subdivision over 10 acres. Is there a mover? Councillor Burick and a seconder. Councillor Neely, any discussion? None, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. This is the public hearing convened this August 22nd at the Municipality of Swan Valley West. We're holding it in Council Chambers, 216 Main Street, West Swan River, Manitoba. Present for the hearing this evening, myself, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Burick, Kushniryk, Neely, Zbirun. Interim CEO Pat Ellingson is here, and our videographer Jeremy Bergen is here as well. Tonight, we are hearing representations from any person about property Northeast 93528 West. I have to admit, I don't see a lot of people in the gallery except our videographer. Jeremy, do you have anything to say about this?
No,
All right.
no comment.
Miss CEO, did we
Where is it?
Miss CEO, did we receive any written correspondence from people for or against?
We did not.
Okay. So pretty straightforward then. We have the proposal here. The owners Kevin, Rhonda Rusk, Lynn Rusk, and Janet Domansky wish to do some subdivision here. A variance will be required because the subdivision is over the maximum of 10 acres. I don't believe it's over by much, but it is over.
20, isn't it?
2020.
20.9 or something.
So, questions, comments, anybody?
I just-
Discuss it?
Like I looked on the map and that quarter's divided in half and all four of those folks own. Kevin and Rhonda own the west part of it and Lynn and Janet own the east part of it. And this must be right in the middle of it where the subdivide if all four of them are on this. Like right on the line, you know, right in the middle of the quarter.
I'm not sure. It shows it
It's in the middle.
on one road.
In the middle, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it shows.
I'm trying to see how close it is to the next road.
Yeah, I can't see the next road to the west.
Look, oh, you got it.
Yeah, where's the line? See, there's.
Well, there's a road and there's a road, so it,
Yeah, but the road to the west.
oh,
Yeah, what I'm saying is, Lynn and Janet own this part of the quarter, this half of the
Okay.
quarter, and Kevin and Rhonda own this half of the quarter. So this must be right sort of in the middle of the two quarters. It must cut into both sides.
both sides, 10 acres on each side or something?
Yeah, well, or rough, whatever.
Yeah, whatever,
maybe,
yeah.
Maybe 3 here and 7 there, but all of them have to be involved because it's 2 different parcels of land.
It shows it's 780 feet north of the road allowance. And then the actual subdivision is 1,070 feet, so it should all be on one quarter. Because the top end of it would still only be 1,800 feet from the.
Unless that map has changed since I... No, my map's pretty new.
Oh.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter anyways, I guess it's all done, they've gone through the government agencies that require it.
So what are they doing with this?
I suspect they are. Does it say specifically here? I think they're building something, aren't they? But proposed lot is there. It shows existing stuff. They could just be they're subdividing off the yard site.
Oh, okay,
Existing, because it does show existing buildings there.
yeah,
Yeah, it says, they're just subdividing 20.9 acres, which includes the existing yard site.
Well, if we have nobody objecting to it here and the government agencies find it in order, I don't know. I would tend to follow suit, I guess you'd say. I don't know exactly what they're doing there or anything, it's none of my business really, I guess, but.
So we have a resolution, whereas the owners of Northeast 935 28 West have made application to subdivide their property and a variance to allow for a non-farm subdivision over 10 acres. Whereas the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West has reviewed said application, along with the letter received from Municipal Relations dated May 3rd, 2023, and have no objection to the aforementioned subdivision. Therefore be it resolved that we do hereby approve the subdivision and variance to allow for a non-farm subdivision over 10 acres on the above noted property, provided that all conditions and requirements are met as included with the letter from Municipal Relations, and that the Reeve and the CO be authorized to sign the variance order. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely, and a seconder, please. Councillor Kushniryk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Being there's no further business for our public hearing, resolved the public hearing shall now be adjourned and the regular meeting of council, Swan Valley West shall now reopen at 7:19 p.m. to proceed with the regular business of council. Is there a mover, please? Councillor Burick, and a seconder. Councillor Zbirun, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. We'll return to financial items 611 payroll checks. So confidential copy of the payroll is provided for council to review tonight. Be it resolved that council of the municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. Payroll payments number 141 to 156, the amount of $23,444.62. Is there a mover? Councillor Kushniryk, and someone to second the resolution. Councillor Neely. Council, do you have any questions about the payroll stuff? If it's too in-depth, you have to go on camera for it, but otherwise, if there's simple questions.
Just a question, what's the thing, what does it mean when it's in parentheses? Parentheses?
That's, I believe, year to date.
Oh,
So the
That,
smaller numbers are this pay period, and then in parentheses it shows so far this year.
I thought maybe that's what it was, but I was just.
Any further questions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 6.2, indemnities. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. Indemnities for July number 4505 to 4513, the amount of $8,437.35. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely, seconded by Councillor Zbirun. Copy of the indemnities are available on the public agenda for anyone that's interested. Are there any questions from council or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. 6.3, the financial statement. We don't have a resolution for this, but the financial statement's here for you to take a look at. A couple things of note that are worth seeing. There is still a budgeting issue with the Swan River operator wages. For whatever reason, they're not showing budgeted here. So you see the proper amount of expenses, but it looks like it's all over budget. That line hasn't been updated yet to show what we said we would spend on them. So don't be surprised to see that it's basically 100% over, because the budget was still zero in this printout. More importantly, if you skip all the way to page number, where do I have it here? Is it page number 7? No. Oh, I had it pulled up before. Councillor Kushniryk's going to make fun of me now for not having it still here. The gravel lines are on page number 8. No, 9. Page 9.
9?
All in apply, we budgeted $350 up to and including this check run. We spent $317,000, so we have $33,000 left there. The gravel supply of $50,000, we've only spent $3 on so far. The crushing is a $260,000 budget. So far, we've spent just under $43,000. So crushing continues. We have to see a little bit more what's happening with that. But as you can see, the haul and apply is getting right to the end already. We are almost done graveling, but we were certainly hoping to be done graveling and not be over the 300 mark. So we had some space to go back and fix up some other things. So we'll have to do a little number crunching on what we're doing for the supply and crushing and see if we're going to borrow a little bit of that or not and make some plans. That's where it's at right now. Contracted road maintenance is over, by the way. It's a $30,000 budget. So far we spent $57,000. So we're over by $27,000 so far. And that relates to some of that earlier work we did with the washouts and such going in there. Does anybody have questions about this? Certainly it's a lot of numbers, so feel free to review it some more at home, and you can always call the CAO with questions or call me. What you see here, this should be accurate to tonight. This was printed after these checks were done.
You
So
said page 9, Bill? Page 9?
It's page 9 of the file, but the actual piece of paper says page 7. So if you're looking at what it says, it's 7. If you're looking at the little top page counter, it's number 9.
7. Oh, okay. Now we're getting into the roads and stuff. I'm just trying to... Graveling, haul and apply.
Yes.
Account 400-340.
Yes.
So you say we're gonna end up over a little bit there?
I'm hoping not, but we're certainly, I don't know exactly how many roads are left. We're coming to the end of what was planned, but I had hoped to be done at 300, but we're not. You know, my hope was we would be done, everything that was planned by 300, and we'd have $50,000 left to go touch up a little here, touch up there, and do some more. It's not looking so good for that. But there's certainly some roads that are gonna need some touch up. I don't have a great plan to present to you right now, what we're gonna do. But with some roads that I was out traveling tonight, I've got later on the agenda, I almost got stuck on a road tonight. Like some of them are really bad still. And there's good news. Some of them are better. I went down a lot of roads this time, you know, if it had rained last year, I took my van down those roads, I would not have got out. I
The
would
road
have
south of the Durban Cemetery this year got done nice.
Yeah, much better there. That's one that I would have got stuck on last
Yeah,
year.
you go over, where Earl Fullerton's place is and go south there, when you run out of 486, it looks like a farm access road from there north, south of me.
159 tonight is horrible. It's just this 6-inch deep ruts in it. And there's 172 is really bad tonight. And those are, some of them have had gravel, 159 hasn't had. But a lot of those, like, a lot of them were worse last year. A lot are better than they were already. But we haven't been everywhere yet.
Well, I mean, to get everything up to where we feel to be comfortable, we'd be spending $500 a year for about 3 years, I think.
If that's all it was going to take, it would be good. But I'm
No,
sure
but I
that
mean,
wouldn't
to
even
get
do
them
it.
to a more
I know.
acceptable
No,
level, right?
no.
You need to spend about 1/3 more per year.
One year we had a road built in Manitoba, Good Road Association, they were driving around giving awards in Manitoba. It rained and they came up here to look at the road and they got stuck.
You didn't get the award, eh?
So we didn't make it.
Don't leave the pavement.
Yeah, we didn't make it. We didn't make it that year, but we got stuck.
Any further questions, or shall we move on? Let's go to 7.1, weed inspector report. So we had a concern come up about weeds at the Swan Valley Museum along the Rex Bleach Museum Trail, purple noose stripe specifically. So a copy of the report is attached here for council. There were some recommendations, the findings, and also some maps of what they found. Cole's notes, yes, they found purple noose stripe. It's not a huge amount, but there is a reproducing population of it there. So
Getting close to my place, I see on the map there.
they certainly make some recommendations here. Tonight, all we're doing is receiving the report is the plan, and then we have to look further at what we do next. Be it resolved that the weed inspector report for July and August be accepted as received. Is there a mover? Councillor Kushniryk, and a seconder. Councillor Neely?
I
See,
don't
we go
want to be hogging Byron's
No, I'm good.
glory here.
Any questions or comments about this report tonight? What do we normally do next after we get a report like this that says there is a weed? Do we just let it grow, or do we try to kill it in some way?
Well, I thought that they made reports to agencies that
Kill it?
were supposed to address it or make recommendations if they want us to do something.
Okay, so we'll wait and see what we hear back.
Yeah.
So this is not on private property, this is on museum property, right?
Which technically is private property.
Yeah, everything but the water.
So what if it's actually private property, say a guy's yard site is full of burdock?
I think we would order them to fix it, wouldn't we? And they would have to fix it at their cost.
Yep.
The museum has summer students right now. We could certainly say to the museum, so, what are your summer students doing? Some of this, though, is not on the museum property. Have a look at it.
Only being
In fact, none of this
north
is on
side of the
museum
river.
property. Yeah, because the line of the property, the bottom little red spot there, is the limits, the north limit of the museum property. Everything else is off museum property. It's further north. Okay, we'll wait and see what the recommendations are. And then if it's recommended it needs to be removed. I don't know what the buffer is on that river, because there's a buffer zone that is public property along the river. And by the pictures, it may well be in that buffer zone. So it may not be anyone's problem except ours.
It's across the river from me,
Is it?
looks like. That's the lagoon there, cell 1 and cell 2, and Black Mark. On the right hand side.
Okay. Over
Very
here.
pretty
Yeah.
flower.
And where are you from there?
I'm just off the paper here, but I think that's my property right here.
To the north?
To the north, yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 7.2 is an offer to purchase. I think this will likely need to be moved in camera. We have received an offer from a person to purchase some property in Durban. So the specifically affected lots are number 5 and 7 of Block 1, Plan 187, and lots 23 to 32 of Block 3, Plan 380. In simplified terms, if you remember where we tore down that house a year or two ago, right on the corner by the municipal shop. Right when you come into Durban, there's that lot, and we cleared that out this spring, that lot. And then to the north of the curling rink, there's a big grass field there. That series of lots are the two that he's speaking of. So there's a picture here that sort of has it drawn out for you a little bit. But we do need to have some discussion in camera as to whether or not we're willing to sell those. So we'll bump this to the in camera, but that's what we'll be talking about a little later on.
Okay.
7.3 landfill operator certification. This probably is also going to in camera. What we're going to be discussing with it, currently we have one landfill operator certified. We don't have any spares. And if something was to happen, they would get sick, they were to choose to leave their employment, we'd be left without a certified operator. So we're going to be recommending that we train at least one more, but in camera we'll have to discuss which employee would be most appropriate for that, or if we want to look for someone new. So we'll move that to in camera as well. 7.4, Thunderhill Ski Club. So I received an email from Rob Terhorst. He is the president of the ski club. Those of us that were at the municipal meeting on June 12th, that's the G4587, whatever it was, meeting at Thunderhill, the infamous leave your vehicle after the meeting. They made a presentation about what they were doing at Thunderhill Ski Club. They spoke about having applied for a grant for Magic Carpet. They have received that grant, they received the funding. They received $132,596.63, which is 50% of the cost. They had requested at that time that municipal partners look at contributing the other 50%, somehow shared between the 4 municipalities. So I did speak to Rob yesterday. I asked him if he'd sent this letter to the other councils. He hadn't. So I encouraged him to send it to all the other councils too, so we can all discuss it together. I don't know, do you want to entertain some discussion of what we should do in the open? Is that the will of council? Do you feel it should go in camera? Or would you like to talk about it here?
Generalize, you know.
Yeah, it's not about a person.
No.
You know, so I don't think it has to go in camera unless somebody's uncomfortable with it.
I think discuss it open.
So I discussed it like with Rob's son, and I said, you know, we don't know what our plan is. We've had a little discussion here at the table, which we talked about, do we want to support it, how do we want to do that, and we don't really have an answer. I said, I don't think any of these municipalities really have an answer, other than that in the past we've helped the ski club. All 4 municipalities have contributed before to a capital project there. Maybe we'd be willing to again. I said, we certainly weren't in a position to write a check for $132,000 from here for the ski club. But I said, maybe there's some options. Maybe we could look at donating a certain amount a year for a number of years and do some funny math where we loan them the money now and get it back over time as we, write it off. So, and I don't know what that looks like, but there could be some option there. I was checking what's allowed under the Act for if we could do that. So scenario, we wrote them a check for 132, but said we're only actually giving you $20,000 a year. They would owe us the money in the meantime, but over time we'd give them $20,000 a year, and we would essentially have it paid back to us, and we'd borrow it from our own reserves or something.
We've always helped them, but not to this magnitude, I guess you'd call it.
I would certainly like to see the other municipalities involved.
Well, it'd be nice if they were,
They
even if, they're in our municipality, so I'm going to assume that we'd be the largest contributors, but we don't have the biggest population either. The town has a big population, so.
I haven't spoken to the mayor on this specifically. Rob indicated he had spoken to the mayor and the mayor was surprised that they were looking for money, which Rob said was shocking because the mayor had been present at the meeting where Rob made the pitch for the money, but he seemed to not have caught the part where being asked for money. And then Rob was of the opinion that the feeling from the town was that they're too broke to do anything. Which, given that they're putting $3 million into a new rink, I can understand the sentiment, but certainly they still need to be officially asked and see what happens.
Well, they need, he said something here about,
We
they got order.
were going to do something kind of like the swimming pool type thing, right? So was that something that, because I mean, people from Swan River, a lot of them use the ski hill.
Last time municipalities got involved, was it a third of a mil? Councillor Burick, do you remember? It was a set mill rate that each municipality contributed for 3 years or 2 years to Thunderhill. And that paid for the new lifts and a bunch of their capital upgrading. All 4 were part of it, although at the time I think it was all 7, probably. They all contributed towards it. And some were big and some were small, depending on their size, obviously. Bonita would have been a very small amount. The arm of Swan River would have been a very much bigger amount. But at that time, everybody contributed to it because they saw it as something that was good for the entire valley. So I certainly wouldn't want to close the door on that before the asks are made, because I think it should be all 4. They'll have some feelings on that too, I know, but I did speak to him some more about the ordering timeline, and he essentially says that it can't go in this year. You know, even if they ordered today, it wouldn't be here till December. They'd be trying to install it in the snow, and they probably could, but it would be a pain. So really, we have another month to talk about this. We have a G4 meeting coming up. We should probably have the discussion there. If they were ordering it in November, if some agreements worked out, they'd have it to install in the spring and be ready for next fall.
That was my question. I see you by the end of August.
This particular grant typically provides 12 or 24 months to do the project.
Oh,
So
they
even if it
put your
was only
money in.
12 months, they still have until next summer to complete it, but they'd probably have the full 24 months.
So we gotta maybe sit back and see what everybody else will
Yeah.
donate or give
think
before
so.
we decide.
Yeah.
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 And I think we'll do something. I think the agreement here, we would do something. The question is
Yeah.
what? How
Yeah.
much
Well,
can they?
if they can't come up with the 132 out of the municipalities, where are they gonna get the money? Then they lose that 132, right?
There's that risk. They could do some more private fundraising.
Maybe private donation.
And that well isn't dry, but certainly they've expended a lot of the water in it, right? They've raised so much money for what they've done already
Yeah.
that it might be tough to find another 132,000 privately. But I'm sure they would find something. And
Yeah,
if the
we could
municipality
do
does
that.
something, we're
If
getting
we could
closer.
provide them
and
with a good kickstart, you know, as a municipality, even come up with,
Yeah.
you know, 80 or 90,000 for them, and then, you know, maybe
Could
they,
we put on your to-do list to
not for us, I mean,
contact,
for
I
all of
believe
us.
it's
Yeah.
Minnetonka's hosting the next meeting. Ask the dear folks at Minnetonka's to place this on the agenda for the G4 meeting. So it's there to be discussed, and we can discuss it as a group and see what everyone wants to do. And maybe if you could, I don't even know if they have a CAO. Somebody must be checking the email by now. Just see if they could discuss it at their council ahead of time, so that they're not hearing it for the first time at that meeting. They have some idea of what they might do. Then maybe we can work something out that night.
Well, the whole valley uses the place, I mean, it's not like, it's the only game in town, right? I mean, it's not like it's another rink somewhere, or it's, you know.
Well, is Rob notifying the other municipalities? Rob
He's going
Okay.
to, but if we remind them, it probably is helpful too.
That'd be nice, yeah, so that we, at the meeting, at the G. before we get-
Anything else on Thunderhill Ski Club? We'll move to 7.5, medical professional recruitment. This is more for information. A copy of an advertisement was attached. So we've been discussing in earnest in some of my reports. You've been hearing about doing things differently in medical recruitment. So I thought an update was warranted tonight. Specifically, there is a trade show training session coming up September 21st It's at the University of Manitoba. 120 medical students will be attending. Typically, those are medical students that have not yet chosen where they're going to practice. So this will be a first for our group. We've been more of a passive thing where we've just been saying, we'll give you some money if you come here. Instead, we're going to be attending that trade show. So it costs $3,000 to have a booth at the trade show. And then additionally to that, there'll be transportation costs and hotel costs and meal costs. Councillor White and Councillor Morio are attending on behalf of the Medical Recruitment Committee. So part of this is an advertisement book is prepared for all those students. What's attached here is a copy of the advertisement that's in that book that will be distributed to them all. So it's called Practice Where You Love to Live, and it's the first time you're seeing imaging out of the medical committee other than just we'll give you cash. This is now shifting our focus to you want to fall in love here. Come find out why this place is amazing. This is the best place to live. This is the best place to put your kids in school. It's a great place. Come see it. So part of this is the new Explore Swan Valley passes will be ready for this. That was created by Medical Recruitment as a way to invite people in to see the valley and try to fall in love with it. It's a program operated by the Chamber because Medical Recruitment maybe isn't the best at getting things done in a timely manner. So the Chamber's going to look after the nuts and bolts. Each student at this retreat that has an interest in rural medicine will be provided with a welcome package to the valley. Should they choose to use it, they'll be able to come here, receive a 2-night stay in a hotel. They'll receive complimentary passes to either winter or summer activities, depending on their visits, the ski club, the golf course, various activities, a hockey game, just to have them here for a weekend. So we're hoping to draw them in. Obviously that won't be cheap. Any of them that take us up on the offer, we're expecting to be a few $1,000s. But to have a doctor that hasn't yet decided where they're going to practice, come and spend a weekend here, is money well spent.
You get one doctor, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So on the money front, we've been offering $25,000 for a physician. PMH now offers $75,000. So those are additive. So to come to Swan River for 2 years, you'll be paid $100,000 signing bonus to come here. However, shortly after that was announced, it was confirmed that Saskatchewan is now offering a $200,000 signing bonus for you to attend. So, as the discussion we've had here before, we've certainly had a medical committee, is that we can't spend our way over this problem. We can give $500,000 and someone else will simply give $600,000. So money isn't everything. We need to start focusing on what we have that's different than other places. The schools have come up as a big thing. A lot of professionals want their kids in a good school, and the reality is we do have better schools than Winnipeg. So certainly, if you're gonna have kids and run them through a high school, this is the one we should be at. So that plus our recreation, our proximity to lakes, and hopefully we have an air service announced soon, because the one thing we're hearing from all of the medical professionals we bring here as potential candidates is that they don't want to drive 6 hours to the city. They don't mind spending $500 on a plane ticket, but they want to be able to get on a plane Friday afternoon and come back here Sunday night. That is extremely important to them because they have family in Winnipeg or other places. They desperately want to be able to fly to someplace they can get on another airplane and end up anywhere and be there for Saturday afternoon and spend a few days with family and then make their way back. So that's out of our hands at the moment, but the wheels are in motion to see air service return, so hopefully that's announceable soon. Any other questions about medical professional recruitment? There's no resolution for this, it's more just discussion. Hearing none, we'll move to 7.6. So here on the public agenda is a beautiful photo of Road 159 this evening. This is one of the roads where I just about didn't get back off of on the way to the meeting, but I did. So things turned out okay.
Which one's this?
This is 159,
159.
south of 204. So just south of the PR road there. Unfortunately, tonight several more roads look this way. One thing we've been discussing is the idea of trying to make these roads better and what could we do to make them better. One idea that's been floated around some and the arm of Roblin is having success with is a packer that attaches to the back of a grader. So we have discussed it some. I talked to several of our operators about it in the past few months. One of the operators was gung-ho to try it. He thought that would be great. Two of them said there was absolutely no way they would attach one to the grader.
So when do they get to say what they're gonna do?
No comment, we're not in camera.
My take on it, if I can speak on it, highways use them. Why wouldn't we use them?
What,
We talked about, I said years ago we should have these packers, right? But, oh no, they didn't. Back then, they still didn't want to run their grader.
I'm glad I'm preaching to the choir here. So I did spend some time at AMM with Handy Hitch, which is the people that make these. Took some training from them there for what it does. I was reviewing that again earlier. So here's the promises they make. They say that it reduces your grading time by 30% because you pack the roads as you go, which leaves the roads in better shape, so you don't have to come back as soon. Which for us, unfortunately, we're often behind because of the 600 miles of road. It might mean we catch up easier. It might not actually save us any grading time, but if the roads are in better shape as a result. This particular packer that's quoted here is the 90, which there's a number for Profile Packer 90. So this is a dual purpose packer. It's used typically for packing behind normal maintenance, but it can also be used for packing behind road building. So if a miracle was to occur and we were to have some spare gravel and some spare money, and we were to pick a few miles of road, this packer would still allow us to dump the gravel on the road and pack the road, dump some more gravel and build up 3 or 4 inches of gravel on the road to try and get ahead on some of these worst spots. So it's a dual purpose. This does mount to the back of the grader. It's hydraulic control, so you've probably seen them before, but it lifts up where you're not using it to drive away. As soon as you get there, it goes back down, you carry on. I spoke to our lead hand about it as well. He certainly likes the idea of it. He knows that technically what it does is it seals the road, because instead of leaving loose gravel, it packs it down flat. If it rains again, the water comes off better, so it's not as mucky, but it's also there, so it's not just gravel flying around. The more
So
gravel we
works
keep on the
like
road, the better.
Crushed asphalt type stuff does, you know, these.
Yeah. I got a couple quotes for us tonight. One quote is from Handy Hitch itself. They sell factory direct, which is surprising. Their quote's higher than the other quote. So from Handy Hitch, they're quoting just a touch over $27,000 for the actual packer. Then there's the John Deere adapter and the link arms for it and tire tacks. So their quote comes to just over $40,000. The other quote is from Dion Co Sales in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. It's the same packer. It's about $1,000 less for the packer. A little different attachments. The one is a quick attach, so you can take it on and off all summer. This particular attachment is a put it on once, take it off once a year thing. So you put it on in the spring, you leave it on until the fall. It takes a little longer to put it on and off, but for our purposes, we're really not removing it all the time anyway. Once it's on, it's on. So that's the bigger difference in the quote, is that it's cheaper. And then there's also the link arms that are needed. So their quote is just under $36,000. I note they have the wrong PST on there though. They're showing Saskatchewan PST instead of Manitoba, so it'd be a couple $100 difference for that. The factory does not have stock of these. There's a 6 to 8 week wait to get a packer, which would basically end our construction season. Dionco, on the other hand, has this packer in stock and would deliver it Thursday morning. So
This Thursday morning.
this Thursday
So
morning.
which machine does it go on?
Well,
Ward 6?
on
Can't say.
camera, I can
Ward
tell you.
Can't
which-
say.
In camera, I can tell you which operator is willing to use it, of our operators. My recommendation is we put it on that one and run it. And if this does what it's supposed to do over the next couple months, I think we then put one on the rest of the graders in the spring. And we say, guess what you drive now? But really, if they see it working, they're gonna.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, my road's gonna be
Well,
better
it's in the
too.
way when you're backing up, and I heard them all, you know.
Flip it up.
I know it's not hydraulic to this, to me, it's not like,
Just one question, and it doesn't really matter, but would they be able to park in the shop or no?
From what I understand,
Because they're pretty tight right now without them.
they're tight when they have the snow plows on.
No.
Once the plow is off, the Durban shop,
Dirt bucket,
Probably
the
is.
Swan one,
Swan, I can't speak to.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I just wondered, because they're pretty tight when they park in there
well, they
without.
can get in with the plow on, they can get in with the packer on.
Yeah, because it
I'm
shouldn't
pretty
be
sure
much
it's
bigger
shorter
as the
even.
plow.
They won't have both on at the same time.
No.
I hope
I'll come
not.
back.
No,
Packing
Well,
Oh,
me-
no.
well, maybe there might be a day or two.
Yeah.
Back to slush pile.
Yeah.
As far as money goes, here's my thinking's at. The government is blessing us with that $211,000 for infrastructure, which we haven't yet seen the terms. It's likely going to require we spend it on actual infrastructure. This probably wouldn't qualify, but the Sarah Lake Road will. So my suggestion is that when we see the details of that program, we say that we're spending that government money on upgrading the Sarah Lake Road drainage, which then frees up what we have budgeted for Sarah Lake Road to spend on something else. And that's where the money comes from.
Yeah, it's just shuffling it around, it's not being dishonest or anything.
No, it's just making sure we fill out the form correctly, to say what they wished it to say. So we don't say we bought this with it, we say we bought that with it. And then the money we didn't spend on that buys the other thing.
Well, my opinion is if we can swing it, we should do it.
Yeah, I like the song of it too. I like the
We
song.
talked about this
Yeah.
years ago, Brian.
Yeah, I know. I like the song of it.
Look at what,
I'd be in favor of doing it.
look at what happens when they pack the shoulders on the highways, you know? Pretty nice, it's like rock when you drive over there.
Councillor Kushniryk, we've heard nothing from you.
I'm already for anything for roads.
I think Councillor Kushniryk was concerned about gravel.
Yes.
No, I'd be in
But
favor.
packed gravel is nicer.
I mean, good idea to try it.
Yes,
And-
yeah,
and-
try it
and-
with one.
And the guy and the no-sayers can have a look and see what they think too,
Yeah.
you know? Maybe they'll get sold on it.
And you say you've spoken to Rodman?
I have not spoken to them, but I've gone and driven their roads and followed their grader around. And they are using the exact same packer. And they go over a road that to be, like, if we did it, it's dry. It's not wet. They grade that road, there's a little bit of moisture that comes up, and it packs it solid as it goes by. And it's like you're driving on pavement after. It's not gonna be a forever fix, it's not a magic bullet. But instead of it being loose gravel that dries out and all that moisture's gone and flies off for the next 2 weeks, it's packed,
Yeah.
and you drive over it.
Yeah, and the gravel's not flying in the ditch.
No. They claim you can drive faster with a grader, I don't
Oh,
believe
good.
it.
Oh, you mean, oh, I thought you
Well, they say once this is on, it stabilizes the grader so it doesn't jump from the washboard if you go too fast. They say you can go 1 gear faster. I don't drive a grader, so
Afterwards.
with this on,
Well, you won't have the bouncing.
Yeah. but I don't know, I don't know if that's true or not. That's what they claim.
Well, I'm sure if we find it doesn't work, somebody will buy it.
Okay, so we have a resolution be it resolved that we purchase a road packer and associated equipment from Bianco Sales as attached. Is there a mover? Councillor Kushniryk and Councillor Neely. Any further discussion? Right now, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. We have no correspondence for council's attention tonight, and we have nothing under unfinished business, so we move to committee reports. We start with the councillor who has 4 weeks to report. Mr. Kushniryk.
You know, I've really just got the LED in there and it's pretty light in the LED right now. A little bit of damage to the cook shack we gotta look after. Some flower issues we looked after. Not a whole lot more, some discussion on trucks, but we can't deal with that right now anyways. Going all right.
Does everybody know about the damage he speaks of to the cook shop?
No, and Benito.
Yeah, so someone with a camper tried to exit, perhaps maybe not on the best exit path. Caught on the edge of the cook shack with their camper and took some of the wood off. So there's a plan to repair it.
The roof.
Yeah,
Got the
just
eave.
the eave. And I don't think they got really any rafters, but the
They
fascia.
took the
little
tail
bits.
end of 2 or 3
Oh,
also, and you
yeah.
scab a couple more in there. But the actual roof and shingles are okay.
And there's a plan, but I don't think we can speak to it in open of a person who wishes to do that as a volunteer to repair it.
We have a volunteer?
We have a volunteer. It's not the person that wrecked it, it's a different volunteer. And what else do you have to report? Just thought I'd give you every opportunity in case
Do you want to talk about before we went into the meeting here, what you were gonna change the world?
Is that in
We're gonna
camera?
move on.
Is that in camera or no?
Councillor Burick.
Okay, well, I have no committee, I haven't attended any committees, but we did have that one interview with, interview here, and that's the only thing I attended. But I had, when I went away, I requested, I've been away for a week, and I requested the Swan Lake Watershed to look at that road against this border between Swan River and Saskatchewan, arm of Livingston. These are the pictures that he took. If you want to look at it, or do we just pass it around then? Those are the pictures that he took of that curve in the road, and then there's an estimate, not an estimate, the last page is the work that could be done, 40/60 cost share between Swan Lake Watershed and the municipality and Livingston. They proposed when they were here at the meeting that we had with them, that they would pay half, share the cost. I mean, you can pass it around. So there is no cost estimate, but proposal there to do the work. He said he'd give us an estimate at a later time if we requested it.
Where is this again?
It's right against the Manitoba Saskatchewan border.
Whereabouts?
Um,
Where the river goes across?
yeah, no, river curves along, there's a picture there. It's
This is
one,
not the
It's right
Swan
next to the
River.
river.
no, it's not a
Kinda
Swan
goes-
River.
This
Just north of Manila.
Woody River, which one is it?
Beside,
It's 174 and
Potton, there's down in Potton and back in there, Mount Will.
219.
Back in there.
Over
it's just a creek.
Someplace
It's
back
not a,
in
it
there.
is a river.
I don't
but
know
it's not
exactly
Swan
where
River.
it is.
It runs along the border. 219 and 174.
Right where his finger was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
219 and 174.
On our side.
if you go north of Offenberger, Bev Offenberger's, you have to go north of her place, and then it's
Or 174.
it's right along the border, that's the border, 170.
219 is a mile north
Is
of
it a big fix?
elevator.
Yeah, it's, the pictures are there, I mean, it can be done, but, so what should I do? Should I ask him for, it's funny why he never gave us an estimate there, but he just gave us the,
And we have to get the estimate, because otherwise we're gonna lose the road.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when the picture
And like I
makes
say,
it way there.
when
you can see
Livingston
how
was
close
here,
it is.
they asked us to look into it because it was, the
Yeah.
watershed could work together with us.
Is this work in Manitoba or Saskatchewan?
In Manitoba,
It'd have to be, right?
by about 3 feet.
Really?
It's gonna be, because the road is there.
He's gonna pass it, Pat, to let the guys know.
Otherwise, conservation district wouldn't be able to go in there.
So should I ask Eddie to, or where do you want, where should we go from here? Like, I mean, Livingston wanted us to initiate it.
3 days. Not too bad.
They're willing to pay half the cost, and it's a 60/40 cost share with
So we need an estimate.
estimate. So I'll send it for next meeting, we'll have an estimate, and we can send it to Livingston, or, it's funny why he didn't do that, but it was quick, I guess, like, he looked at it last week.
So, close to where Matt Wills lives up there.
North of Matt Wills, north and west, north of Matt Wills.
That little dark spot, that's the thing that they're looking at fixing there.
Well, you'll see.
Along the bank there.
Along the bank, yeah. Yeah, that's where it's caving in along the road.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's getting close to the road.
Yeah.
Or put a fence up there. Yeah.
Like, I was, one of the residents called me about the safety of that, so I was out there last week and I put barricade and, just along
Yeah,
barricade
well,
with
it looks
caution
like
sign.
about 8 or 10 feet from the road, eh?
It's very close to the road, it's not even, I'd say 6 feet.
So how would they propose to
It's
fix
about
that,
6
putting rock in there?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. They'd
Rip
probably
wrap.
clean it, put riprap in there and stabilize it. But, like I say, there's the,
It's only about, they say, 2 or 3 day job there.
Yes.
200 yards of material.
it's very close. Did you see it? No, I didn't see it. Sorry.
Wouldn't be that costly, would it?
No, I don't think so. Like you said, 2-3 days be done. The according to the, what he wrote is close haul for material.
We can provide labor and equipment from Swan Valley West. So
Yeah,
cost.
in lieu of,
Yeah.
whatever.
And then once we have the full estimate, then we can certainly talk to Livingston about paying their half of the full
Pretty
estimate.
ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
been like that
they
for
would
a
pay
few years
30%,
already.
we'd pay 30 and
Just
conservation
continues to
pay
cave
40.
in, eh? So maybe I'll just tell them to give us an estimate for the next meeting, and then would we send it to Livingston, see, or we have to agree amongst ourselves whether we.
We'll see the estimate and we'll,
Now, it looks pretty
Well, I see
dangerous to me.
it's- Yeah.
For the cost of doing it, it's not worth somebody getting hurt, but.
no, it has to be done. We'll get the estimate and then
Okay.
we'll make a plan.
Okay, that's it, that's all I have.
Why do I have to make all the decisions?
Just the transportation meeting we had on the.
Something to do with wisdom and age.
Oh, yeah, oh, thank you, Brad. Thanks, Bradley.
Councillor Neely.
Oh, I gotta talk again. Just, we had transportation last Thursday, which I think is good, like, I agree with Brian, in the summertime, it's likely a good thing, you know, stay on top of things better. I enjoy them, anyways, I didn't even have a list this time, Brian, but you had one for
I
me.
had a list, I was in.
But anyways, yeah, that's the only thing that I had going on.
Did you tell them what you did with the list?
Yeah, where's my lighter?
Well, I already told him I brought it to council.
Is this still in the file, is this still in the file here? Well, it's a fairly long list, like I say, I hope it went well. Maybe we can talk about it in camera or something.
Did we get that brush cutter out of Ward 60?
Almost. Is there a report for the CAM? Anything you want to mention?
I'll be gone for the rest of the week. I might leave the meeting early.
Okay.
Put it,
I can report we did hold transportation. At transportation, for those that didn't bother to show up for the meeting. The brush cutter's in Ward 6 and working, so continue work there for a few more days before it moves out to a different area. As expected, once it began cutting, lots of additional work requests have come in for it. So we're monitoring those, but our lead hadn't had a fairly good handle on the worst spots to go and do some cutting at. We did do a job interview that was discussed a little bit at transportation, but to bring the rest of council up to speed, the recommendation of the committee was that we thank the applicant for their time. We can discuss further in cameras the reasons why. Have we communicated that to them yet?
I have not.
Okay, we need to do that, because
Yes.
we promised we would give them a
Yes.
call and let them know.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking, oops.
On other fronts, I can tell you that work has continued on the rise in the tourism side, so we've got a nice little box out there with tourism guides now. People seem to be picking those up, so I know we had some concerns brought to this council and other places about not having staff handing out tourism guides this year. There's now an automated newspaper box where people can pick them up, and it seems to be working better than having nothing. Certainly a lot cheaper than hiring someone to hand them out. On the Chamber of Commerce front, we discussed last meeting the patrol vehicle a little bit. We made a contribution. Chamber has met. They have purchased a patrol vehicle. It could be ready as early as Thursday afternoon, but that date is still a little bit flexible yet. But certainly within the next 10 days, the vehicle will be ready to be on the road, and hopefully will be. So a couple more things Chamber has to do with that, but it's getting close. We're seeing something.
I remember we're putting fuel.
We gave 2,500, which hopefully will be fuel for a couple months to keep it going. The town gave 10,000. The hope is that with the vehicle price, the 10,000 will get it ready and licensed, and probably exhaust the 10,000 on that, and then be ready to go. And use the 2,500 from Swan Valley West on some fuel and such. And certainly the Chamber will do some more work on looking into some other things. We discussed that we need more members for Chamber, so I'm happy to tell you there's been a couple new members join the Chamber of Commerce, including Bob Dillon from South Dakota Cree Nation. He's on council there, and he wanted to be part of economic development and Chamber stuff here, so he's going to start attending meetings, which is really nice to see someone from their council on a committee in Swan River, just for us to all work together more. So a few other changes at council or at Chamber committee. Some of that could be discussed in camera if who's interested in it. It doesn't particularly impact our council, but there's been a few changes to personnel there on the board. Otherwise, I have been also working on some of that medical recruitment stuff we spoke of earlier, made that ad and got that all lined up. I won't be attending that meeting. I'm going to leave that to the town folks to go because I have a different commitment that day. Otherwise, I would like to go see those kids. But we're going to continue work into this fall, trying to get to the high school to see the grade 9 and grade 10 students to discuss with them opportunities. We're still looking for kids that have thought about, gee, I'd like to be a doctor, gee, I'd like to be a nurse, but I don't think my parents could afford to send me to school for that. we want to reach those kids early enough that we can give them a plan for how the community could help out with that and get them to school and get them working here for the rest of their career. So, otherwise, I can report all tax bills have been sent out from Swan Valley West. Those have all been mailed in the last few days. Some people have received them. I know some people still haven't. We had some today that still haven't got them in the mail, but they should be coming any moment now.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And certainly we've had a lot of complaints in the last couple of days about road conditions, but unfortunately we just haven't been able to fix them all yet. I took some today. There were also some discussions about by law enforcement. I had a lengthy discussion with the gentleman today about why he's not seeing a lot of discussion on by law enforcement in the open portion of our meeting. So I shared with him that much of that discussion, obviously, because by law enforcement needs to occur in camera. We have been discussing it. We do have it on our in-camera list tonight to discuss some more by law enforcement issues. I promised him we're not trying to ignore the problem. We're just trying to make sure that we do our due diligence and have everything lined up. The by law enforcement concerns relate to a couple things. One is animals, which have become an issue both in Kenville and Benito. We've been receiving complaints that should be dealt with by bylaw on some animals there. And there's also an issue in Kenville around property standards that we have been discussing in camera, but we can't share a lot more publicly yet. But certainly, I'm sure council will continue the discussion tonight. So I just wanted to give some update in public, at least, that we are looking into those things and we're not ignoring those complaints. Any questions, comments on the reports tonight? If not, it's 6 minutes after 8. We'll take a break for 10 or 15 minutes to give everyone a chance to stretch their legs. We'll reconvene after that. We'll go in camera. We certainly have some stuff to discuss tonight. Most of it we've explained previous in the meeting what we'll be discussing, so people have the general idea of it. And if we make any decisions, we'll be back in the public version of the meeting a little later on to pass resolutions. We're adjourned. So we move to 11.1 in camera. Be it resolved that pursuant to section 1523 of the Municipal Act, Council shall meet as a committee of the whole, close meeting and continue discussions in camera regarding personnel matters and bylaw enforcement. Is there a mover? Councillor Burick and a seconder. Councillor Kushniryk, any discussion? And then we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Going to the in-camera session, we will return to 7.2. The offer to purchase has been received. Be resolved that the offer to purchase the parcels legally described as lots 5 and 7, Block 1, Plan 187, and lots 23, 32, Block 3, Plan 380, be accepted as per the offer attached. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely, someone to second the resolution. Councillor Zbirun, any discussion on this? Just for those listening to the meeting, these are lots in the Durban area that are owned by the municipality. There's nothing on them except grass. The purchaser has indicated that they will keep the grass mowed for us. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Is there any further business for council this evening? Hearing none, we'll move to section 13. Be it resolved this meeting shall now adjourn at 9:47 p.m. Be it further resolved the next meeting is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Is there a mover?
Carrie's not here, so.
Councillor Neely and Councillor Burick. Any discussion? Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you everyone for a great meeting.
Good meeting, guys, yeah.
Good meeting.